Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we're going to be voting for our favorite War Within dungeon that is then likely going to return, well, whatever one wins, return for Season 3 of the War Within, the next patch, 11.2, whenever that will be. So Blizzard put out this poll, and you can choose one dungeon, so I imagine just the top whatever many get the most votes will probably be the ones who win this, okay? So you can just go vote for this on the Blizzard forums, general discussion. There's an EU version and a US version, whatever. And I can't vote, so I can't actually click vote because I had to change my authenticator when I got a new phone, and it's like saying that I don't have a level 10 character or something like that. But I will say which one I would vote for when we go through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each dungeon, say what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then ultimately choose which one that I would choose at the end. Obviously this is subjective. You can have a very different opinion than mine, and that is perfectly fine. I may hate the dungeon that you love, and I may love a dungeon that you hate. Feel free to let me know in the comments how you feel about it, but obviously these are my opinions, and you're going to have yours. So let's go ahead and just go through each dungeon. Let's start off, just go in the order they have them here. So we have Ara-kara. This is from Season 1. This is one of the Nerubian dungeons. I was never a big fan of this one. I think it's more bad experiences than the dungeon itself being bad. Ara-kara is a dungeon that could go bad on the first boss, especially if, one or two people don't know what they're doing early on the first boss. It can go really sour really quick, and then that leads to keys falling apart. It also had the sack brood farm as well, so, maybe groups falling apart on a dungeon that you need to farm a trinket for at the very first boss. Whereas if let's say you fail on the final boss of Ara-kara, which is also very possible, you're already almost done. People are more likely to stay around. If there's a feeling that you can kill it, people are more likely to stay around just to kill the final boss. Whereas first boss, that can be rough. And the first boss was generally considered the hardest boss of Ara-kara. And so Ara-kara does not get very great marks from me, even though I do not think that it's a bad dungeon on its own. Next, let's talk about Cinderbrew Meadery. This is obviously in this season, Season 2 of the War Within. I have mostly good things to say about Cinderbrew Meadery. You'll hear me maybe talk about, maybe I'll mention it more than once, but a big thing for me in Mythic Plus dungeons or Mythic dungeons, whatever, is I don't want to have like a high stress level about, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I need to be like doing a sick, Mythic raid kill play all the time. It's fine to do those things sometimes, just like during like a Mythic raid boss, right? It's fine to do a sick play here or there, but if you're having to do them constantly throughout a dungeon, for me that's just too stressful. I can do it, but that's too much for me. That's not what I live for. I love making sick plays, but like I want to make like a sick play per fight or a couple sick plays per fight. I don't want to make, over the course of a 30-minute dungeon, I don't want to have to make like 30 sick plays or something like that. That's not me. And so Cinderbrew Meadery is one that does not do that for me. So I do not get super stressed out during Cinderbrew Meadery. I like some of the bigger pulls that you can do in Cinderbrew Meadery as well. Maybe the most stressful part is maybe making sure the elemental boss does not, get the ads touching it. So maybe if your group isn't very good at it or whatever, maybe you're scrambling around trying to kill the ads, stun the ads. That can be a little bit like that. But other than that, Cinderbrew is actually a pretty chill dungeon that I enjoy doing. And it's just kind of like a very repeatable, you go in there, big damn, it's a dungeon that maybe you even try to beat your overall damage goal every time. Like that could be your goal, because the other parts of the dungeons aren't too hard, especially after all the nerfs that we've seen. This also favors Season 2 a lot because, while I play for the entire season, I front load my keys a lot towards the beginning of the season. So Ara-kara may have been nerfed, I don't even remember, further past when I stopped kind of doing Mythic Plus dungeons. Whereas the nerfs have been very quick here in Season 2. So Cinderbrew Meadery already feels really, really good, at least to me. And so Cinderbrew's fun. Big pulls, low stress. I kind of like that. And a lot of times stress for me is boss related, because I know I have to do interrupts, I have to do stuns, I have to do everything on trash. But bosses, I like to be kind of just do mechanics. So Cinderbrew is going to be the first one that kind of gets like a positive mark for me. So let's go on to City of Threads. So City of Threads was actually my least favorite dungeon in Season 1, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. I really just dislike the whole RP, a lot of the RP stuff in there, honestly, but mostly the one where you have to go around and find the hidden whatever Nerubians that you have to find by, unveiling them or whatever. And I don't like that part. It's really slow. Sometimes your group doesn't know what's going on. I felt like the second and third boss, honestly, were a little bit difficult. especially for some pugs, at least the pugs that I did. And so those led to me being very stressed, especially the third boss. The third boss led to me having to heal a lot as a rep paladin. Like I was walking, lay on handsing, bubble sacking, trying to help my healers. My healers really struggled during there. That could have been all healers. That could have just been my bad luck. But because that is my experience, City of Threads has very low marks for me. Darkflame Cleft. So I end up liking this dungeon way more than I thought I would, but it's still not going to be like in the positive column for me. I like this way, way, way more than I thought I would. So they nerfed it a lot, first of all, which was good. And then they also kind of tried to make like the candle stuff a little bit better than what it was. However, in my opinion, that's still what's ultimately going to make me not like it. I hate the last boss. Man, if you are not in a group like in Discord or whatever doing the last boss, it is heck to deal with, because you might think you're being productive to go get a light at a certain point, but somebody else is also doing it, and then there's not a light, and then, you know, all kinds of things go wrong. It is not fun. Interrupting the simple thing that should be interrupting the paranoid cast on that boss. My pug groups end up getting feared all the time, whereas in a real group, you can say, I got the first, you get the second, and then somebody's like the backup or whatever. It's kind of easy to do in that way. But in pugs, those bosses can be rough and just not fun. I do not like the candle mechanic. I don't like any mechanic like that where you have to like pick up a candle, move it around. I don't like the light versus dark mechanics either, the way they do them in World of Warcraft. I think it's fine for some other games, but maybe not for World of Warcraft, where you have like this, I don't know, it just feels more clunky to have to like use extra action button to pick up the candle and move it. I don't think clicking it would be any better, but it just feels clunky. And for those reasons, I'm not going to be able to give Darkflame Cleft a good score, like a positive column, like one of my final choices. However, it is much better than I would have thought it would be. Next up, we have Operation Floodgate. That's obviously a new dungeon for this season that they made for this season. And it's actually a pretty good dungeon. It's very solid. It's very straightforward. There are some pathing options you can have in here too. You can pull certain packs or pull different packs. You can pull more at the front. You can pull more in the middle. You can even pull more at the end. And it's easy to kind of like choose where to go and to skip certain things. So I actually really like that as well. I also do not feel stressed out during these bosses very much. Swamp Face a little bit, but that's mostly just, it's not really stress as much as if everyone can figure out to rotate the same way, which most people say rotate left, at least in NA. If everyone can kind of do that on Swamp Face, then I don't feel too stressed during there. That would be the one boss where maybe I have to help the healer out a little bit. So Floodgate, and then the final boss I think is very straightforward. The trash right before the final boss can be rough for pugs, because there are a couple rough spots where I have to help for healing, specifically Swamp Face and the trash before the last boss. Right before it, the double pack, especially the double big guys that put the stuff on the ground and do constant group damage. Because I do have to help out healing on those sometimes. I'm still going to put Operation Floodgate in the positive column for this, but it's probably not going to win the vote, I would say. Because right now it's just Meadery and Floodgate, and I would probably have Meadery like a little bit above Floodgate so far. Priory of the Sacred Flame. Okay, so this was my favorite dungeon in the beta, and it's still the coolest looking dungeon. It's like a modern day Scarlet Monastery. I really love this dungeon. There's lots of big poles. We've mentioned that for Cinderbrew as well. I love big poles like that. So I really like that for Priory. I think they nerfed the mobs accordingly to make the trash not as bad. So I don't normally feel very stressed on the trash. You know, do your interrupts, don't stand in things. The second boss is a little bit stressful for me with that big thing. But however, there's a very big difference between like a solid healer and a bad healer for that one. A bad healer, that fight can be very, very rough. But even a solid healer, I don't think the healer even has to be great. Even a solid healer, it doesn't make it that much difficult. And then after that, I think it's actually just kind of chill. The first boss is very chill. I think the final boss is very chill. It's very straightforward, at least. Do the mechanics and you'll succeed. That's what I like to do, as long as you can repeatably do the mechanics. So definitely going to put Priory into the positive one. Again, I'm not usually stressed when I'm in Priory. So Priory is up there with Cinderbrew. That'll actually be a decision. Dawnbreaker. So we're back to Season 1 dungeon here for Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is not one of my favorites, and it's going to be because of those like high stress moments, having to help heal, log, and that's fine if you're pushing keys with a group of your friends, but in pugs and only doing like +10s, that's not as fun. So for Dawnbreaker, having to fly around, I don't mind that. Some people will knock that. I didn't mind that in No Coup Defensive and Dragonflight. I don't mind it in Dawnbreaker as well. However, it's really kind of, it's not even the last boss, but it's more like the lieutenant and then the second to last boss, where there's some really heavy moments of damage, some difficulty, and a lot of times where I have to help heal, or I have to really step up and go above and beyond to make sure my group can succeed during that dungeon. And I also just don't like the way the first boss works. I don't mind flying, but I don't like getting on my mount, flying away, then coming back in. Not my favorite thing, especially because they didn't make it like difficult to do. It's just annoying to me, honestly. And so Dawnbreaker is definitely in a negative, probably down there with City of Threads, honestly. Next up, we have Rookery. So Rookery is going to be another one from this season once again, and I'm going to put it into the positive column. Rookery, why? This is by far the chillest dungeon for me. Okay, there's a couple trash pulls that are a little bit stressful, and pugs I might have to heal a little bit, but it depends on how big you pull them. If you pull them small, I don't have to. So on just a regular hold W plus 10 key, I actually don't have to help heal or keep my group alive. As a ret paladin, I should mention this. I'm speaking as a ret paladin here. I haven't mentioned that specifically, but keep everyone alive. I don't really have to do that in Rookery. First boss, extremely chill. Do the mechanics, pretty simple. Second boss can be a little rough as I'm just a melee player, but I kind of actually like figuring out, okay, corruption's been on them, it's gonna go on them, I'm gonna go get it, and then I'm gonna give it to the tank. Again, as a ret paladin, I might go out to range, grab it, bring it to the tank if the ranged player doesn't come in himself. So I don't mind that at all, because I'm not stressed during that. It's just like something I have to think about. And the final boss I think is pretty dang easy. It's obviously a lot of health to chew through, but it's pretty dang easy. And I always go into a Rookery feeling like we're gonna time this key. I just do. It's not, maybe it's not the easiest key, but it feels like it is to me. And so I shouldn't just choose like, oh, this one's the easiest, so it's one of the best. But overall, that is kind of why I like Rookery a lot. So Rookery will go into the positive column as well. So far, all Season 2 dungeons. So we have Cinderbrew, Floodgate, Sacred Flame, and Rookery. And is that all of them? So all of the Season 2 dungeons then, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, all the Season 2 dungeons. Wait, I feel like I'm missing one from Season 2. Am I going crazy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What other one? Priory, Floodgate, Rookery. Oh, Darkflame Cleft. Darkflame Cleft is the only one that didn't make it. And now it brings us to Stonevault. So can we get a Season 1 dungeon into the positive column? Stonevault is going to hit that part for me. Really, it's just Skarmrak. Skarmrak's the only time in that fight where I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope we can figure this out. Other than Skarmrak, I love the big pulls. I love, like, you can do some really big pulls in Stonevault. I really enjoy that a lot with a solid group, especially with a solid group. I mean, Stonevault is really fun with a solid group. I think all the other bosses are, again, pretty chill, pretty straightforward. And it's not that Skarmrak's not straightforward. It's just that, especially early on, like I said, my dungeons were weighted early in the season. People were struggling with figuring out that they need to kill the little crystals and stuff that spawn. And it was rough early on. And I think there was some rough moments, but if I try to remember like the last few times I ran it, it was a lot more chill. So I will put Stonevault into the positive column. It'll be the only Season 1 one in the positive column. So we have Cinderbrew Meadery, Floodgate, Priory, Rookery, and Stonevault to choose from, basically. And that's kind of going through all the dungeons. So I think out of those, I think Floodgate and Stonevault would be like a little bit lower based on some things that I said, like having a little bit of stress to them. I think I would move Floodgate and Stonevault out. And that would leave us with Priory, Rookery, and Cinderbrew. I wouldn't mind playing any of these three, if I'm completely honest. I wouldn't mind playing any of these in the next season. I'm trying to think. I think, honestly, if you're just going for, well, you want to know how to do it, it's going to be easy. Everyone's going to know how to pull it. It's going to be very simple and straightforward. I think you almost just have, well, for me, based on my reasoning, I think I almost just have to go with the Rookery. Like, it's also in Dornigal, so it's just easy to get to. I mean, like, these might be silly reasons to some people. As I said, I can't really vote because of my account thing at the beginning of the video. But I think I would vote for Rookery. I think Rookery, if my thing gets updated or whatever, on my account and I can vote, I think I will vote for the Rookery. For low stress, easy to time, at least for me, my experience. In Dornigal, just easy to get to. Just kind of like just this ease of access. Casual key doers, extraordinaire dungeon, I guess. So I would definitely pick Rookery as my choice here. So I'll put the link to the forum post in below if you want to go vote for it. You have to log in with your account. You have to have a level 10 character to vote. Hopefully you've done some of the dungeons if you're going to vote, but I mean, I guess I really don't care. And we're going to get likely one or more of these dungeons in season 3 based on the posts. So yeah, we're going to go with Rookery here. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe you love Ara-kara. Maybe you love City of Threads, one that I didn't like. Let me know. Let me know what you're going to vote for, all that kind of thing. Love it. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.